to tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into this industry and, where you come from, and then maybe we'll move on. I will just remind you, I've got 5 questions. I'll quickly just remind you what we're going to do. So if we could try and keep them like separate and subject matter orientated, but maybe about yourself and a bit, what and how. I want you to share with the people that you're a Springbok and you fly aeroplane with no bloody engine in.
Yes, we'll get to that. That's my passion. I work so I can afford to glide. Yeah, Nico, thanks. OMV started off when my father immigrated from Holland. He started working for the Dutch consortium or the Dutch partnership, and they did some limestone. They were mining some limestone in the Henneman area. For then it was Anglo Alpha Cement, also in the Henneman area, and which led to us starting to mine gypsum, natural gypsum, and then also some magnetite. This is all cement industry related. So we were a secondary raw material supplier for the cement industry. We had a good relationship with all of the cement producing houses then, and talking about PPC and Afris. Then it was Anglo Alpha and Blue Circle Cement. So things progressed, and in late 1980s, I think, the then group managing director of Harmony Gold Mines, Carl Ike, approached my dad, and he asked us if he gives us access, if he grants us access to a mine waste dump, would we not be interested in putting up a plant, as there were some supply problems in the Free State Goldfields area, and obviously Harmony had a strong presence in the Free State Goldfields. So we subsequently we bought a plant from Piet Boer, I think it was, in Standerton, and we erected it in Virginia, and yeah, that's where our journey in aggregate started. And then through our contacts in the cement industry, some old names that I'll mention: Eugene Pinar, who was then head of, then it was already Anglo, I think, head of this ready mix concrete, and then it was still Pioneer Concrete. We negotiated that they set up plants on our crushing, the ready mix plants on our batching plants on our aggregate operations. And I think it was in mid 1990s, we actually bought the then Pioneer Concrete in the northwest, or in the Potchefstroom, Klerksdorp area, and in the Welkom, Virginia area, we bought from Afrisan. And we had some initial support because we were fresh into the ready mix concrete market, and but it was a value added. It was a natural progression from aggregates, and we subsequently learned that obviously the margins in ready mix are slim, and if you compare it to the risks, but if you have shared services, if you have a shared front end loader and you have shared admin offices and shared workshops, then it could become worthwhile. So yeah, we were strong in aggregates and in ready-mix concrete in the Free State. We then bought Theo Papenmeyer's operation in Kimberley. We also bought the old RMM, ready-mix materials operation in the Klerksdorp area, or in the Stilfontein area. So that's where, and we had the Virginia plant, and yeah, so it grew generically. And then in 2014, I think it was, then we were supplying. Obviously, in the late 2000, the late first decade of the 2000, 2008, 2009, I think it was, when the construction boom was happening, and the construction industry was everybody's favorite. We did Oranje Mynbou. At that stage, we were too big to be small and too small to be big. So we did consider, and we did prepare to go and to go public, to list. And then obviously the financial crunch happened, and we put that off on ice. We put that on ice, and then we were delivering concrete, or we were delivering base course to Robex at the between Virginia and Tennyson. And myself and Koos Roubenheimer and my father Klaas Goudriaan, and we were standing, and Pure Visa, we were standing around the stockpile and making plans how we could increase our production. And then my dad sort of, quipped with just tongue in cheek, but then why don't you buy OMV? And then a couple of days later, Koos Roubenheimer phoned me, and that's where it happened. And in 2014, we joined the Raubex Group. We still, I'm talking about we, the Goudriaan family, still own a 30% stake in OMV. But we've sold the majority share to Raubex. And yeah, it's a very good cultural fit. And then also, of course, what's grown in leaps and bounds the last the last decade or two is our gypsum operations. We are I think the dominant supplier of gypsum in the interior. There is some gypsum being imported for the coastal cement factories, but we supply almost all of the cement houses with gypsum. Gypsum, of course, being a critical component in cement that controls the hydration process. Yeah, and that's where we are currently. So things are looking up. Things are looking well. Sorry, Nico, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I am. The train went past and I just put on mute so I couldn't catch the train. Just about your hobby, because I always tell people we've got very interesting people in this industry which we actually know very little about. And that's another reason why I'm asking you guys to, but we're not going to, not too much, otherwise you're going to run out of time, but tell us who you are and where you've been. And I'm always fascinated.
Yeah, as I said, my passion is gliding. Because we had various gypsum mines and limestone mines throughout the country. Obviously, I do power flying as well. I fly myself around. It beats driving in a bakkie or in a car. It's much safer, I think, and it's much more time efficient. But my real passion is gliding. Some call it soaring. In other words, flying without an engine. You use the air currents and the energy lines in the air. I do it competitively. I've been a member of the national team since 1989, so I've been to about 15 or 18, or now stopped counting, world championships, which I've represented South Africa. I was a world champion in 2001. Subsequently, I've had a third place and a second place, and so I've got a bronze and a silver and a gold medal. And I still practice. I'm still active. We were going to go to Germany in 2020. No, sorry, 2020 in June. We were going to go to Germany for the World Championships there, which was obviously postponed to 2021 because of COVID. We don't know if it will happen in 2021, but we'll see. We're holding our thumbs. But yeah, that's my passion. I'm a competitive person by nature, and it's because we have some of the best gliding conditions or soaring conditions in the world. That's my choice of sport, and I love it. It keeps me sane, because I can sometimes, Charlene, my wife, just says, just go and glide so you can get out of my hair, so you can become normal again. But yeah, that's where I am.
Thanks, Oscar. Thanks. Then some of the challenges you see in the industry from your side, and just maybe highlight some of the challenges we're sitting with. Yeah, we know COVID and all those things, but maybe some other ones that you might want to share your views.
Nico, yes. I think the skills drain, we all heard about the skills drain, and it didn't really affect us that much, and we kept on going. But I think that the skills drain is now really coming into effect. If you take, let's start off with basic education. When I wrote matric in very long time ago, you could still ask somebody what the boiling point of water is and what the boiling point of oil is, and why does water boil hotter at the coast and it does it on the escarpment. And people generally, had a bit of physics and a bit of maths, and the education system still worked. Maybe not as good for most of the population, and since democracy, I think it's definitely in our Model C schools. I've had my children have gone through university and through school, but I think education is coming to bite us. People that are coming out of matric are not really employable. I'm generalizing, but I'm not. Obviously, there are some exceptions, and some schools are the exceptions. And again, some teachers really. I see teaching and nursing and being a law enforcement officer. That's a calling. It's not a job. It's a calling, and unfortunately, it's become a job for most. But specifically in education, in teaching, if somebody comes out of matric, he's not really employable. Let's call a spade a spade. Then they now go to secondary or tertiary education. They go to universities to try and become employable, but they're studying in the wrong degrees. It's a common known fact amongst CEOs and business leaders that we need more artisans. We need people that can actually do the work. Now you're getting engineering, graduated engineers that are walking around without getting meaningful employment, because the expectation is there that they need to earn 50 or 100,000 in a month, and you can't start off that way. So we need to fix education. That's my viewpoint. We need to fix education, because that leads, and unfortunately, it's not a quick turnaround. So there's not a magic solution. It's going to take a generation before that comes, because we're sitting with the, unfortunately, they used to call them the lost generation, but that's truly what it is. You have to re-educate them, and these people, these people, and I'm not talking about specifically black, pink, or white people. I'm talking about everybody. People coming out of matric, white learners coming out of matric are also basically they don't really know what they're doing. They're not. You have to educate them. You have to teach them. So that's one, and I think that's coming through in industry now, because the people that we are employing now, we expect of them some basic skills, but they don't have those basic skills. We don't really have the time anymore to teach them those basic skills. So, through ASPASA, I approached you, and we're having this drive now on the laboratories, which is, to me, is really it's a serious problem, because it's costing the industry a hell of a lot of money, because the laboratory technician, the guy that's actually taking the samples and testing the samples, doesn't know the impact that his, let's call it, lack of skills or his improper handling and testing of the materials has on a project. You can have a multi-million and billion-rand project fail because of testing. If you take materials, it's a binary problem. It's either the materials that are at fault or the testing is at fault. It can't be in between. It can't be a bit of materials and a bit of. So it's either testing or it's materials. And most of the time these days, it's testing that's at fault, because samples are not treated. There are standards, and there are methods, and these are not adhered to, or they are taught, or they are shown, and it's nicely written up on the laboratory. But people, the laboratory technicians, don't actually know the impact that their actions or lack of actions have on the results. And then you can't really blame. If you take the older generation engineers, they used to know how to manipulate materials. Let's call it manipulate materials when there was a slight, if it was just outside of the envelope or just on the envelope, they could adjust it. And the new engineering candidates that are coming through can't do that. They don't have the knowledge. They haven't physically been on a road testing and building the road and standing in the rain and in the sun and physically doing, and then having an older or a more experienced engineer look over their shoulder and say, no man, if that happens, you can do it that way. So it's a lack of experience, and it's a lack of understanding of the problem. So that, I think, that's my pet peeve, is the lack of skills, not only in laboratories but also in the industry.
Oscar, thanks. I think you've hit a very big nail on the head. And I spoke to somebody earlier on who feels exactly the same as you. So I think that's going to be one of our big focuses in 2021, to start off with that. And we're just finalizing our registration with EXA, so we can have those qualified guys with a degree trained how to be an engineer. Because a degree in engineering doesn't mean that you're effective. I mean, it's like the previous speaker is an advocate. And when you do a law degree, You actually know nothing. You just know that there's a law somewhere that you have to find. Right, the last thing was we've got a bit of a time constraint. Just one and short positive thing, and then something about what you feel or see about ASPASA, and then we can start wrapping up.
Nico, yes. On the positive side, it does seem like with our president's drive in infrastructure, that is starting to wash out in industry. It's starting to physically manifest itself. We've seen the latest awards from Sanral. We see some other projects coming online. So I think the construction industry, I'm quite bullish about the construction industry. We're seeing it. I've maintained the last 30 years that I've been in the industry, I've maintained that this is the barometer of the industry. If you start seeing sand and stone and aggregates going out, then you know people are starting to build swimming pools and people are starting to do modifications to their houses. So there's disposable income. So yes, I'm bullish for 2021. It looks good. Hopefully we have the right policy decisions from government and from the statutory bodies that we can actually build on this. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. There are some let's call it interesting times ahead. But by and large, I think we can look forward to quite a good 2021 and hopefully 2022, 2023 as well. And then yes, on ASPASA, I'm actually very happy that it's on the check system that we're now bringing in a quality system, on a quality leg as well, that we're auditing on a quality leg as well. The laboratories, the site laboratories on site. I think, you know, that will sort of standardize. I'm a great believer in standardization. That if you get material in Kimberley, it must be the same as material in Klerksdorp, it must be the same as material in Joburg. It makes it simpler. And again, this pulls back to our, you know, unfortunately at the level of education of our population. It's much easier if you have a standardized set of rules that everybody knows and understands. If you have to start manipulating and adjusting, then it becomes more and more difficult for people to actually, you know, to make things work. So I'm very pleased to that component is coming in. And yes, on the ASPASA side, that also, you know, the work that you especially have been doing with the authorities and the industry, and always being there, you know, we see ASPASA in the news quite a lot, which is good because the quarry industry, like, you know, Rupert Bromley originally said it, you've been saying it, it's always been a bit of a, you know, the bad boy, or the, you know, the bad boy of the industry, or of the world. You know, we come in and we break the countryside and we make dust and we make noise and nobody really appreciates it. But I think you said it, that you know, aggregates is one of the basic building blocks of society. Without aggregates you can't have anything else. So yeah, I'm very happy for a body like ASPASA. It's very necessary because otherwise we would all need to approach the statutory bodies on our own, you know, simultaneously. And it's very easy, you know, there's the old adage, divide and rule. You know, if you have power in numbers and you come as an industry body and you're representative of an industry body, it's much more difficult for authorities to ignore your voice and to ignore what you say. So yes, and again to you, and you know, thank you very much for the work that you've put in over the last year. I hope we can continue that. And yeah, just a very Merry Christmas to everybody. It's just about Christmas, and then hopefully next year, well, it can't be much worse than 2020, but we'll see how it goes.
Oscar, thanks a lot for your time and for your effort. Thanks, I really appreciate it. And I might be accused. Sorry, are you still talking?
Yes. No.
Sorry.
No, I'm fine.
So, thank you, Oscar. Thanks a lot for your effort and your time. We really appreciate it. And we're going to cut now. Anneke will cut us. I don't know if she's bought only a short term. We'll see you hopefully in due course at another meeting, and enjoy the day, rest of the week.
Thank you, guys.
Excellent.
Bye.
Thank you to you. Bye, Anneke. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.